Alright, greetings everybody. It is time for another batch review. Today we're going to be looking at the February 8th, 2023 batch of Craporama. And I say that because, what even is there to say about this batch? It's kind of weird. We have, like, Miche as our low-tier character. We have Meriluke, Ahlim, Tyytas. We have Yerma, Dorando, Farm, Resnick, and Sakura. And I don't know, just feels like a hodgepodge of characters and a bit of a hodgepodge of upgrades. So we'll go through each of them. And let's start off right with the one element that is really easy to talk about. Let's talk about Miche, shall we? Because Miche has been around for, forever kind of thing. And I don't think that people think negatively of him as a Black Ranger thief and Black Ranger, Black Mage and Ranger. I read across that. This is a character that obviously one of the things that's a super big advantage to him is incredibly low cost, which would allow you to run a bunch of under-cost characters, and master abilities over the course of his lifespan basically increase, his utility by decreasing skill activation, boosting his agility, maybe making him a little specialized, and now his 140 also gives him extra magic and AoE resistance, which is fine. Not amazing, but fine. As for the upgrade he gets, his job level 25 now goes to basically be a bigger damage dealer. I don't know. This is a character I have no bearing for on whether or not anybody really uses him. I'm sure in Selection Quest, of course, like that's always where people think about this, but I like 140 does give these characters a fair amount of extra stats compared to what they have before. I just don't see this making really that big of a difference in Miche, but he is a pretty fast caster now. But I think this was a character that really didn't see any use before and probably won't now. So moving on, let's shift over to the lightning element, where we have two characters. And first we're going to talk about Ahlim, who, as a FFBE player of old, have to say that, of course, that name will TSD. No, not quite. But Ahlim, on the other hand, does get a couple of things. I mean, so she has gotten her master ability 2, which gave her extra attack and agility, and her dream enhancement now adds on top of that with critical rate and initial AP up. Both things I actually think are net positives for a character like this. Like, not just like a, oh, it's a positive thing. Like, I actually think that this is an overall good thing for her to have. This is, however, the thing that I think is less than exciting. Her job level 25 got up to move to unit panel, deal damage, same, restore 15 AP instead of 10 AP when you hit a critical hit, and its overall AP cost went down from 30 to 24. It's an 11 AP saving, essentially, and I mean, if it wasn't for just the strength and agility, I'd think that there's nothing here. Now I think there's just mostly nothing. I don't know. This isn't a character I'm not thinking too fondly of. But again, Selection Quest, sure, why not? This should make it easier, and I think that's what it is mainly focused on. Alright. And our other lightning character is Meriluke, a character that sometimes I forget she exists if it wasn't for PC artwork. Defense penetration up by 20 and acquired AP by 30%. I actually don't hate anything about that. Seems generally pretty good. And as for her job level 25 ability, it gives strike attack increase of 40, grant protective 25 or 25% physical resistance, and increases her own defense penetration by 50 for 3 turns. There might be something here, and let me explain. She's not super high cost, and she's essentially a 60 cost character. And if you were trying to make maybe a lower cost strike team with really good strike PCs in a limited time event? Maybe there's something here. There is a fair amount added to her. I mean, just general AP acquisition and the fact that she has like a really good strike ability now. I think that there is a potential that Meriluke could be in the conversation for lower tiers, for low rarity, low cost. I got there eventually. Low cost event strike teams. And since pretty much everybody already has her and all the orbs you could possibly ever need, sure, why not? Let's give this actually the best medal so far award, which congratulations, Meriluke, you deserve it. You've been long and not talked about for like just long and forever. So yeah, there you go. All right. Next up is Tyytas, a tank of the dark element of a lower cost rarity. Now here's the thing. Dark Selection Quest is pretty much one-shotted, at least all of the initial quests, by one character, and maybe you need another few characters, but I'm not super feeling great about it. Pierce and missile resistance is fantastic for a tank. More resistance, always better. Critical evasion? Sure, absolutely. Why not? I don't have any problem with this. And the last thing he gets is elemental chain resistance. All of this stuff is super relevant to a tank and super relevant to this character. Like, just in different matchups and whatnot. I think that this is, again, perfectly fine upgrade. However, some people have already built Mont, and like regular Mont. Some people have already built Nasha, and if you've already done that, are you really going to build another tank? Not unless you super need to, at least on a medium rarity. Like, Dark has such a wide range of characters. I don't know if this is the one that really I would feel like I would, probably rather just different, but I don't hate his upgrades. His upgrades are very well geared towards what he wants to do. I don't know. I'm kind of tanked out on the mid tier right now, but keep an eye on this guy. Might turn out that he has some potential stuff. All right, so who are we going to talk about next? Yes, Dorando. One of my personal least favorites, and I know some people are not going to be happy about hearing that, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of this guy. And Dream ability is just as boring as it could possibly be. 40% HP upgrade, and I know this guy actually has just a stacked shitload of HP. Really does at this point. And that's fine. Looking here at what he got upgraded, it's this big long ass ability. Defense increase, evasion rate, decrease evasion, increase agility, increase max HP, increase attack, increase defense penetration, and a 200% chance for a physical proc. So it seems to have some kind of counter ability now. I don't know, maybe there's a way that this as a Earth tier lower cost character can really find some use in limited stuff. He definitely has enough HP to be tanky and annoying if he only had more ways of doing a lot of heat generation. He could kind of be an interesting Earth elemental tank that still has potential for some physical offense too. I don't know how I feel about this one. I want to say that it's mediocre at best, but I've never seen a fully built Dorando, and I would kind of interested to see a 140 with as much HP as can stacked. I'm sure it'll show up on Twitter eventually. Not my favorite character though, so I guess I will be skipping. Okay, so that clears through all the lower tier characters. Now we get into the easy, well, what I would say generally pretty easy. Let's start with Resnick. All right, are we done? Resnick was already just one of the best characters in the lightning element who just goes on physical teams, magical teams. It basically helped create the Skahal brick wall kind of thing, and she continues to just be basically the best healer in the game, I think, at this point. I feel like that's pretty accurate of a statement. I feel like it's accurate. Missile resistance, magic resistance, critical evasion, all from going up to 140. And the other thing she gets is, yes, her support skill. I don't believe that's upgrade. I'm just going to double check the kanji. Actually say it. No, it's not that one. It is this one, which was a increased lightning attack, decrease AP consumption, debuff resistance, single target resistance, decrease skill activation time for self. Basically one of the abilities that was already pretty damn good and gave a lot of stuff now gives a little bit more by decreasing AP consumption for the ally. Resnick is absolutely a relevant character, and by her getting a 140, she is better. Nothing much to say here, except this is an open and shut case of a character becomes even better. Fantastic. Moving on. Next up is a low-cost ER, Sakura, who I honestly have a lot of positive impressions about this character. Over the lifespan, she, just like Garble, has kind of just keep coming back like a bad penny of just constantly finding ways of becoming pretty relevant in some light elemental teams. Dream ability, defense up by 15, and skill activation time down by 250 apiece. Really just absolutely great. It was great on Barris, it's great here. Except here we have more of an offensive character. Speaking of which, the skill that she gets upgraded is this one right here, which is her large AoE that decreases lightning resistance and light resistance by 30%. It had a 185 mod before, and it increased her own agility. Now it is also doing the effect of if auto restore or haste are on the target, she will actually get a 60% mod boost. I think it's actually kind of relevant for PvP and could be the one place where I saw Sakura really working well early this year was with a 140 Warrior of Light in combination with a Yuna as well, and it was just really, really effective. So if you're adding something like this, which also is pretty effective, I think generally Sakura has a really good update. Less recommendable than Resnick, because Resnick is just overall, I think, more relevant in the meta, but Sakura, I think, does get a powerful upgrade here if she is in the right team. I think Sakura is just hanging in there quite well for a fairly early into the game character. Good job, Sakura. Good job. All right. Now, who have last? Well, I have saved basically the best for last to talk about, because this is the most interesting to me. Yerma. Yerma, who is a character that I kind of liked her design from the beginning. It's kind of berserker, Amazoness warrior. One of the few... Okay, hold on. Before I say this, I do think she is one of the few red-haired characters, and there aren't many. There's pink, there's kind of orange, but there aren't red-haired characters. All right. So over the course of her life, she has found ways to be completely irrelevant for most of the time she's been around. Critical damage and accuracy was her first master ability, and from there, I mean, she got defense penetration and critical damage up and accuracy as the total picture here, and, you know, it was a little bit better, but still totally irrelevant. Missile resistance of 25%. That's a pretty big increase, as well as AoE resistance of 10. Cool. Not bad. Something's gonna have to be really good in her skills, though, right? While her job level 25 single target ability now breaks physical barriers, increases defense penetration by 50 herself, increases slash attack resistance penetration of 50, 165 mod, still, 30% crit chance, restores 20 AP when she hits a crit, and gives 30 AoE resistance. And I realize I didn't bring it up. There it is. There it is. I mean, I talked about it, but there it is on the screen. This is interesting. I mean, like, she got a fair amount of AoE resistance. Jum is an absolute beast of a tank. And, like, the single target here is really cool. I just have a feeling that Yerma still doesn't quite get there, because honestly, Flag Glassy will almost always be the first and foremost character that you put into a party, with Jum very close second. And then do you want Sadali in there with his status effects? I mean, that's a good choice. You want Rizzle in there with her potential AoE, or with her, yeah, healing for other characters and everything like that. Or do you want this? I mean, breaking physical barriers and defense penetration, but like Wind has the Swiss Army knives already and has just a really competitive third spot. So I have to say, this is a really nice bonus for her. I mean, she is like at least getting 50 slash penetration off of this, and she already has 90% defense penetration with a critical hit ability that's single target and gets around a lot of the AoE resistance nowadays. I actually think that this is a really, really nice ability, a super solid buff that's probably just not quite good enough to actually get there. It's not Yerma's fault. I just think that Yerma overall just falls so short because Wind has some of the greatest characters in the game. And, like, you just have such a great option that she isn't going to be PvP. However, she might now be a really fun PvE character, because she is at least competitive with what some of the damages that other PvE characters do. I think there's enough here for Yerma to be interesting, and yes, maybe I am giving some copium to people out there who are Yerma fans, but I think it's kind of cool, her 140, and if you have extra resources kicking around and you really like her, give her a talk. So, to give a overall summary at the end of this video, which I'll try and remember the time code, but we'll see. Meriluke might actually be kind of interesting with a low-cost strike team. Miche, I think, is just whatever. I mean, he's low-cost, so he wouldn't cost anything to essentially get to a full, like, reincarnated 140, but I don't think that it's necessarily where you want to go unless you're super desperate for a fire main. Yerma, interesting for PvE, but irrelevant still towards PvP. Dorando, maybe just a giant HP bullet sponge, but just because a unit can stack a ton of a stat doesn't mean that they're going to be successful or meta changing, so, and Wind's really good. Next up, so Dorando, I'm gonna say no, from my opinion only. Yours may differ. Tyytas, I'm going to say pretty good upgrade for a tank, but again, there's lots of tanks in the MR range, and maybe you're just tired of it. I don't know. This doesn't feel it. Sakura is a really good upgrade, and I think she'll be really good on a team. Maybe she can even see a bit of PvP life again. Ahlim is a generally good upgrade, but a really disappointing job level 25 that I just don't feel is worth it. Resnick was already a great character, and just get her to 140 if you already are using her. Not much else to say. And to close out the video, Farm, who gets slash attack resistance penetration of 20 and initial AP of 20, which overall makes her just a overall better character as a physical attacker. So yay. Points for Farm. She didn't get her dream enhancement, but she also gets a spot in this video. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this batch. Probably one of the least, I would say that I am at least whelmed with this batch of being pretty much where I thought most of the stuff is, and very clearly someone just really likes lightning, I guess, right now. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time.